Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a few things to do. So my car is back in the garage. So the red one's out, black one's in, and it is jacked up. Don't know if you saw that, but she's off the ground a little bit. So I have a few things I need to get done. So we'll just go through a few of them. So one thing is we're going to be changing the turbo coolant fucking feed and return lines. So I'm going to change it to a braid. And I put up some banjos and fittings and adapters and shit. So that's dash 4 Teflon braid with dash 4 hose ends. And you've got 2 more hose ends in there to go on banjos. And then some push-on fittings to go to the stock coolant feed that's already there. But yeah, I've got silicone hose in there at the moment, and it's like yay fucking thick, and it's getting in the way of things, and it's got a leak on it. So may as well change it and get it out of them. Like I'm never gonna have a problem with this. It's never gonna rub through, and it's smaller. So yeah, unfortunately, I got to take the turbo off to do it. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. Turbo is down there, all the way down there. So yeah, there's no getting to that with it on the car. Like I've tried. You take the wheel off, you go to the side, you can't get to it. You go underneath, you can't get to it. So the turbo's got to come off. Now, the other reason why it's in the garage, well, there's 2 more reasons. One is I have a whole heap of dash 8 Teflon braid, which is for fuel system. So we got a manifold reference, fuel pressure regulator, a couple of fittings, not a couple, I mean a lot. Bulkhead fitting for the pump, more fittings, and flex fuel sensor with the bypass block. So that's going to be fun. And in the boot, let's have a look in the boot. We have a surge tank. So I'm undecided if that is exactly where it's going to go, but it looks like a pretty good fucking place. Like there's plenty of room there. Yeah, there's no point going. I thought about maybe going up here, going up into there, but I think there's good. It's out of the way, but it's accessible, and that has a 365 liter per hour pump in it at the moment. And I'm only using one of them because this can have 2. So I can have one outlet here, one outlet there, a supply, a return, and an overflow. So we're going to be running the supply from the existing tank in the boot down there, under the passenger seat, to here, and then we're going to run another line through the bulkhead connector for the overflow. So when this fills up, it overflows back to the tank, and then we're going to run a new line for the feed, so outlet from here to the engine, and then we're going to run or use the original 5/16 line, which feeds the engine at the moment, to come back to the return. So the fuel pressure regulator can go in and feed back to here and then overflow to the tank, and then the tank feeds this. And then that will be mounted up right about there, out of the fucking way, but nice and secure. We're going to drill through the floor here, chuck some rivet nuts in, get it mounted up, and then just put some body deadener underneath it, or some epoxy paint, etch primer, and then body deadener, so it doesn't ever rust. So yeah, that's a fun experience, and I've had some problems with this bloody light leaking as well. So as you can see, I got water in the light. So I just took it out and drilled a tiny little hole right in the back there. So if water gets into here, it can drain out. That's the lowest point. That's where it was pooling up. I don't know how the water was getting in there. Maybe it was getting in through here or something. I don't know. But yeah, drilled a hole there. Can barely even see it. Yeah. And then the water will just drain in there, and then condensation will evaporate rather than pooling up in the fucking light. So Fair bit to do. So we'll get stuck into this. This is gonna probably take me a couple of days, I think. I want to get the fuel line run today, get that mocked up, get the fuel pressure regulator installed, get the surge tank mounted, and maybe the feed from the tank to the surge tank and the one coming back. And then I got to pull the pump off in the tank, drill a hole in it for that bulkhead connector. And yeah, that's the part I'm probably gonna have to stop. So I didn't buy enough of these bloody -6 fittings for the Teflon. Apparently I'm too short. I spent way too much money on this shit. But yeah, unfortunately I still need to spend a little bit more. So let's get stuck into it. See how far we get today. Alright, so we're under the car. Grab the fucking torch. So what the plan is, in the rail here, there is an extra spot. So they were like, yeah, we'll put the clip there, but we won't fucking put a return line there. So yeah, we're gonna try and use this. So I believe the 8 AN line fits in here, and this just comes off pretty easily, I think. There's this little clip in there. So anyway, I'm gonna run the whole way down. And while we're down here, zip tie those up because they keep falling down and driving me fucking nuts. So I'll get stuck into this and get it run. See if we can get it up here. Should be able to. Fucking tight squeeze though. Pretty sure that's the standard line. Yeah, no. Anyway, it's gonna go up there, and then I keep running it back this way. So all the way down to there, figure out how we're going to get it from there across and up into the back there. All the way up there somewhere. So this should be fun. Move back a little bit. Because the surge tank is planning to go right above here. Yeah, so that's pretty much in the boot there where it's gonna go. Plenty of fucking room to do holes and shit. I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna get a couple of lines out of the boot and then snaking across here and keep it away from all the suspension shit. So obviously the frame rails there. Yeah, I don't want to put it in the way of anything fucking important. So we might try and go above that because there's some extra lines already just there. So I might be able to go across above into there. Follow that. Yeah. Might be able to go through here. Yeah, through here. There's a little hole right here. Into there, above the diff, follow that up, follow that fucking other line, and then come down behind the tank where the other lines are right there, and keep following down. Yeah, that should work. Looks fun. Well, I'm gonna get myself into. Anyway, enough my bitching about it, let's get it done. Alright, so surge tank is mounted up. It is rock fucking solid. So a couple of riv nuts through there. I only did one on each side. Just funnily enough, there's a frame rail that comes through here, and this side here would have hit the frame rail. This side just missed it. So yeah, 4 bolts ain't going anywhere. So now we need to run 2 lines to the tank and grab the 2 lines from the engine bay and come up to here. So thinking we'll run one this way and then one this way, or maybe even back here, so bring the supply straight up and go straight down there. That might be pretty cool. Otherwise we'll all go into here because there's heaps of fucking room in there. Like, yeah. My old amp wire. big blue one. So yeah, I'm gonna think about the best way to deal with this, but at least that's mounted up, so that's in place. And obviously with this, you can undo these screws and twist this however you want to twist it to. It doesn't have to be that way. So these are all uniform, so it can go on each direction. Yeah, all right, let's get into it. All right, so I'm under the car again. Whoa, flashlight in the face. So we've got the fucking fuel line run down here. So as you can see, it just clips straight into that line, fucking perfectly. Go the whole way down up to the firewall, where I've just got it dangling underneath there at the moment. So the only thing I'm worried about is that part right there where that heat shield is. So yeah, because it curves in and goes this way and then goes forward, I might have to zip tie it to the other line. But we'll see. So now I've got to get the line. Oh, the fucking torch is bad. Somehow probably up there or across here, down that way, and down up into there. So not sure how the fuck I'm going to do that yet. Yeah. But this stuff's pretty flexible, but it only flexes so much, and then it starts to kink, so don't really want to be fucking flexing it too much. I don't know. Alright, so I'm gonna get into this, see how we're gonna run this line. Should be fun. Yeah. Alright, so we've got the seat out and the hump and everything. I had to do this repair a while ago, but yeah, a leak. Look at that shit. Don't know how long that's been there. Kind of looks like it's fucking oil. Yeah, it's old fuel, like it's mixed with premix. But yeah, it's not ideal. So yeah, may as well fix that while we're in here. Because I didn't even know that was leaking. Doesn't look like it's terrible, but yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I had to fix this about 6 months ago. Because that fucking little stalk that comes off of the fuel pump, if the fuel pump hanger isn't orientated in the right direction, it pulls it and it pulls it like this way or that way, depending on wherever this is. And yeah, it bent it, and then it wouldn't get a seal, and it was just spraying fucking fuel out all the time. So I cut it off and put a bulkhead connector in there, and yeah, I haven't had a problem since, but obviously I've got a leak, so either this isn't tight enough, or there's something wrong with the O-ring, or I didn't put it on properly. Who fucking knows, but yeah, if it was leaking that bad, I would have fucking known about it. So we have to add another line in here to go into the boot. So so down there, around, and then up into the boot and here. Yeah. No idea yet. Figuring this out as I go. I decided I'm going to leave that for the moment and come back and work on the tank and the boot, because that's going to be a fucking shit fight. So, pull the tank off, move this, and there is a bung right in there. Mind the fucking broken glass. I don't know when the fuck that happened, but it was before my time. So, that goes through to underneath the rear guard. What? Paint. Whatever. So we can probably use that. Maybe do another one next to it. Or another 2 or 3. Go that way. Or make that really big and fit all 4. It's pretty close to the old guard though, so. Alright, fucking shit stuck to my magnets, hang on. Yeah, so that was the plan anyway. So it's going up there now. I can put a, what do I call them, the fucking saddle thingies, mount them to here to secure that away from this edge, because I don't like that. Same thing up here. So secure it off so it's not touching anything. This doesn't move, none of that moves, but I just want to get it away from this exhaust. Because yeah, like the exhaust down here doesn't get that hot, but it's still an exhaust, it still gets hot. And there is some heat shielding here already. It's just nothing here for whatever reason. So yeah, yeah, that should work. So now I just got to run 3 more. Alright, so another trip to MSA. Made some mistakes. Got some flexible tubes for the, I think these are like nylon or something. Anyway, they're going to go in the tank. I had to get the -10 orbs for these sides, a couple of fittings for that, a couple of fittings for the in-tank pump. So that's where they're going to go. A couple of fittings for the hard line for the return line, so I can cut that, chuck these on, and have a -6 fitting on the other side. And yeah, block off for the return. So I've got to block off on the return and the outlet too, because I'm going to run the return back to the tank for the Venturi, and then the overflow back to the stock tank as well for when this fills up. And I've also got some 12 gauge wire for the fuel pump. So this stuff here from JCar. I've got a big 4 gauge wire coming over here, buried under all this crap. From when I had the battery, in the boot, and yeah, didn't like it in the boot, so I took it out and I just left the cable there. So I'm going to pull that cable out and chuck that 12 gauge in, and yeah, pretty much run that off a relay down here, or run it back into the fuse box and trigger it at the same time, or run another trigger from the Haltech and run a relay in there. Yeah, haven't figured that part out yet. So I already got one of the lines in here. That's going back to the boot. And I've got to run 2 more from the fuel pump in the car, which you can see. So 2 more from there, which is where the bulkhead fittings are going to go, through to the boot. So got one going through. Decided I'm going to use these fucking vents because yeah, I don't want to put any more holes in here. So I've got one going through one of the original holes. I'm going to run the other 2 through here as well. Yeah, make it easy. And then surge tank already goes there, so I just got to terminate them, do the fuel pump, and wire in that extra pump, ground it down here, and yeah, it should be sweet. Because yeah, there's a 4 gauge wire, which yeah, just amp wire. Don't use that shit for your battery location. It's fucking terrible. Yeah, so these little tubes, they are fucking hard as shit. So to get them on, you can't just force them on. A bit of hot water, so just boil the kettle, you know, half a cup of water in there, and lift it in there for a couple of minutes, and now they're soft enough that you can get them on. So pretty simple. Alright, so we got the 12 gauge wire, the 3 lines, so line from the pump in the tank, which is going to feed this, the line going to the rail, and then the overflow. So I'm not running the return from here, I'm running it back to the tank for the Venturi, like I said before. So just going to terminate these, stick them on, work out the distance, and then pull through the rest in the car, so I don't have all this shit hanging out. But for the moment, a little bit of excess there, pull it all the way through the bottom. Zip tie it all up out of the way. He's probably got some silver heat protective tape underneath for the exhaust. I've got a little bit more of a pull through for this because I didn't allow enough. Like technically it'll work, but yeah, I don't want that hidden behind, and it just isn't enough. So considering putting a breaker up here, but at the same time I should probably put the breaker on the other end near the firewall where the cable actually runs. So I'll get these on and go from there. And now, where is this guy? Yes. Alright, so that's what we got. Not going anywhere, they're all screwed on, I've got to do them up obviously. Yeah, I think that might work pretty well. Put a grommet in there so it doesn't rub, put that back together. Pull a little bit more of this through. It's going to ground this pump down to the grounding point on the back here. I think it sits up here, behind here. Yeah, right there. Yep. Right there. And then that will be in here done. Then we just got to feed it, do the pump in the car, which will be fun time. So, move over to that. Alright. Jesus, sorry. So I got the surge tank in the boot. Got the lines run. Got the power hooked up. I just haven't hooked it up to the circuit breaker of the firewall. So I've got this going on. So this is all done. Power's all on there. Ended up grounding it down here to that grounding point. That one there. So it's hidden away. Nice and neat though. So I just popped the fuel cap so it's not going to be pressurized while we take out the fucking fuel pump. So I've been keeping an eye on this and it hasn't changed. So see the oily mess there, it's still exactly the same. Still got that puddle there. I mean, that might be premix somehow managed to get its way out, and yeah, I thought it was a fuel leak. And honestly, it probably is leaking a little bit, but that has not changed since when I found it. And if it was fuel, it would have evaporated by now. And I've only got like maybe a quarter of a tank of fuel in there, so it's down, like it's pretty low. So if it was still leaking, it has to be pressurized and coming out of here, which could be the case as well. But anyway, that puddle hasn't changed. Everything's still exactly the same as what I saw it initially. So anyway, we'll pull that off shortly and have a look and see what's going on in there. But yeah, I'm going to be replacing this anyway. I've got a shorter one to go in, and I'm going to need to have an adapter to an adapter to an adapter to this, because I'm getting rid of this anyway. So we may even move the feed. Don't know yet. We'll have a look. But yeah, we've got the return from, the overflow from the surge tank and the feed to the surge tank. And then, yeah, we've got to work out what this one's going to be. I think that's right. I think it's right. Yeah, we've got one feed going from the rail to the surge tank. We've got a feed coming from here to the surge tank, and then an overflow from the surge tank to here. And then this line here, the original line, is going to be the return back to here. Yeah, which is going to feed the Venturi to siphon the fuel out of the other side of the tank through here because it's got a saddle tank. Fucking annoying. Anyway, so what I've done up here, I haven't mounted the fucking regulator yet. Just turn the big light on. So I got this Milwaukee fucking light. This thing's awesome. So I've taken out the washer bottle because it is massive, and I don't need a washer bottle that big. So the plan is obviously I've got the circuit breaker here, the one that I had for the coils. Still debating if I put another riv nut there for that. Got the 10 gauge wire, which has a little bit of a service loop on it to make it a bit easier for next time I need to work on the car. That's going to get hooked up to a relay inside here, which is going to feed off of the main power and then get triggered by the Haltech. So the plan here is I've got the flex fuel sensor wires. I've got to put the connector on, and that will be sorted. That's flex fuel sensor is going to go down there. I've got to pull this line off and make a new one. Got to pull the upper intake manifold off to make a new line to go from the rail to here. or to the pressure regulator. The regulator's probably going to mount up here somewhere. And then I've got to buy 2 washer bottles, one for the washers themselves, and the other for a sun adapter that I'm getting, or that I've got. I just haven't put it on yet. So one bottle go here, one bottle go here, regulator go here. That's the plan anyway. Whether or not that turns out that way, who knows. So yeah, plan for today is get the tank done. So get everything inside of the car finished, get everything plumbed into the firewall, so we can get the rear of the car back on the ground and get the front of the car up. All right, so the tank is out. The pump. Only took a couple of minutes. So this is what I did back probably 6 months ago. Essentially, I ended up bending the stock one, and it ended up cracking like right there. So I cut it off. Got this airflow, stealth, speed flow, fucking crazy mix up. Anyway, it's working. Obviously, there's a bit of a problem there. I didn't notice, which is when it's fully down, it's like that, and it is kinking the hose right there, just a tiny bit. So that would have been restricting flow a little bit. But anyway, we're pulling this off, and we're putting one of these on, which has a barb on it. So that's going to reduce that size considerably and get this up another couple of mil. But we're also going to replace this with another one because these are a pain in the ass. Better off replacing them, because once you heat them up and they set on the plastic there, they're a bit of a pain in the ass. So pull this concoction off, find out where we're putting some other holes, and start mounting these ones up. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right, so fucking super surprising. So the Radium Venturi showed up already. So I only ordered it Sunday night from Golby's, and it is already here. So it's now Tuesday. So this is what it looks like. Pretty simple, but kind of magic how it works. So fuel pressure return goes, so from the tank, from that top cap that I literally just installed, they've got to take back off again, comes into here and goes down into the tank. As it comes past, it creates a suction through here, which then pulls fuel from the other side and also comes down into here. I also give you a few different orifice sizes. So there's smaller, medium, and the large one that I've got in here. So I don't want it to restrict flow, but I also don't want it to be that much that it completely sucks the other side dry and overfills this side. So yeah, I think they recommend trying the biggest one first and then going down. Yeah, so they give you some instructions in a sticker, which, yeah, you go to the website and it's just like, here's a link to all our fucking manuals, and there's like 300 of them, and you got to look up the part number to find out what it is. So anyway, I've got to go down to Motorsport Accessories again, unfortunately, because I'm going to need to change this fitting to suit this style. So it's like a 5/16 or even smaller. Yeah, I don't know what size it is, but it's fucking tiny. So whatever below 5/16 is, I don't know, Imperial, that will. To here, so I can just plug it in, get a little bit of hose for here to go into the top of the tank, or come down so it comes away from the top hat and then into this, and then a little bit of hose for here to sit in the bottom of the tank. Because, yeah. So we're going to Motorsport Accessories, get that shit now and get it done. Alrighty, what a fucking mission this was. So we're almost done. Yeah, it's been a little bit harder than I thought it would be, and yeah, if I do it on the next car, I'm probably just going to spend $1,000 and buy the in-tank one. It's not as good as this, but at the same time, this is massively overkill for what I need and probably what I'll ever need, unless I decide to go like a fucking REW or a 20B or something, which is possibly a possibility in the future. But anyway, let's have a look, see what I've done. So that tank's gone, obviously. Now I've got the fuel pressure regulator over there, flex fuel sensor down there, and then returning back to the stock line. The new line goes into the fuel pressure reg and then goes through the reg and comes over to the fuel rail down there. So I've replaced that line, I've run a new line all the way to the back, and then tied in the original fuel line into the return of the fuel pressure regulator, which also has the flex fuel sensor in it. Now, in the back here, I had it all hooked up, and then obviously that radium jet bloody thing came. So I'm now having to take it all back off again and do it again. So this is what we're working with now. So essentially, we've got everything done. The jet's in there, Venturi, fucking whatever jet. I can't remember what they call it. But now, because I changed it, I had to run the jet off of this one, which this was originally hooked up to here through that adapter that I had on there. But there's not enough room there to run that as a jet, because it literally has the filter right below it, and I couldn't get it in there, so I had to run it off this one. Unfortunately, it does mean that this one, I don't have another angle for this, so I could either go buy another angle, which isn't going to be today, or I just say fuck it and then cut this kind off down under the car and put a new fitting on down there. And I've got those fittings, so I'm just going to do that. That way they're all the same up here, and I'll just have a 90 coming off here and going this way, 190 there, 190 there, so that will make it all nice and clean. So, going to get under the car and do that. Obviously I had to cut this off too. This is off the siphon, the original siphon. Plastic fucking shit. Yeah, all in here is still exactly the same. So I'm just making up a new line now for that. So yeah, we'll get this done now before it goes dark. It's getting fucking cold and there's some rain coming, so I want to get it done before the rain comes, even though it's inside, but yeah, still. Alright, so just went down to Motorsport Accessories and got some RX-8 crimp-on, the compression fittings for the stock line. So the stock line has a like a plastic cover over it, the black plastic, and then it's got this coating over it, and then it's got the bare metal. So last night, I cut the feed line, the original feed line, and went to put the 5/16 compression fitting on, and it didn't fit. And I was like, okay, that's fucked. And I took off the black shit, and yeah, still didn't fit. It's like, fine, I'll go get a 3/8 one, because there must be a 3/8 line of the fucking tank and 5/16s down the rail. So I went to MSA this morning. Yeah, sat in traffic. Got back, and 3/8 is definitely not right either. So you see that? Heaps of fucking room. So this thing flaps around in the breeze. So like, what the fuck? So it's like an in-between. No. The fuel line is double coated. So let me just show you what I mean by that. Give me one sec. So because there's a black coating over the top, and then there's this coating here, and then there's the bare metal line. Looks like an aluminium type line or steel line, I don't know. So it doesn't fit over the coated line, but does fit over the uncoated line. So fucking whatever. So if you're gonna put one of these fittings on, you got to remove the black plastic, and then also remove the weird fucking coating. It's like an epoxy coating or something, or a painted fucking coating. But it's thick enough that you can't get an olive on there. Like, it will not fit. It won't even fit in here. But if you take the coating off, fits perfect. So, lesson learned. So I'm going to go for sandpaper and go into the car and remove this coating on the fucking line that I cut. Install that fitting. And then zip tie some stuff up, or put some P-clamps on. Get the hoses up out of the way. And then that will be pretty much it. And then we can start tuning again, hopefully. Until we find a leak. Alright, so we're finally done. We've got everything all hooked up, everything's all working again. So let's have a look. So we've got the laptop connected up here at the moment. Got a fuel pressure regulator just sitting here right now. I'm thinking I'm going to rib nut it to the firewall, so it's out of the way. And I got to get another one of those small washer bottles for here, and another bottle for premix fucking 2-stroke oil, because I'm going to run a sun adapter soon. And I've got flex fuel sensor down here that's all wired in and reporting back. And yeah, fuel pressure is going into the front of the regulator. I got to zip tie this cable down, but yeah, that's for the fuel pump. I got to go into a circuit breaker as well, just in case. But I did swap the Heltec control back to the standard relay for the intake pump. So that's now a lift pump. And then the high current output is going through the circuit breaker, which doesn't need to, but it was already there. And yeah, whatever. That's going back to the tank. So in the car, we've got this. That on. So we've got the overflow from the surge tank coming back to the tank, the feed to the surge tank going, well, to the surge tank, and then the fuel pressure regulator return going back to the tank here to feed the Venturi. And then in the boot, we have the surge tank. So that's all wired in. I just put a bit of blue tape over this line just so I knew which one was what, because I took them off and then realized that I'd never marked them, so I didn't know where each one went, so we had to figure it out. So yeah, the overflow goes to the overflow in the in-tank pump. The output goes to the fuel pressure regulator, and then the supply comes from the tank and goes to here. So yeah, pretty simple. But yeah, that's all mounted up, and when it's full of fuel, it's fucking cold. So yeah, easy. So we're going to open the garage up and give it a start, and gonna have to tune a few things again, because obviously the fuel pressure has gone from 63 psi to 43, and then at atmospheric pressure it'll be 58 psi, and then under boost it'll increase by 1 psi per psi of boost, which at 10 psi should give us 68 psi of fuel pressure. Give us a lot more control, and then I gotta put the car back on the ground, go grab some E85 and try some flex fuel. So that's gonna be fun. Looking forward to that. All right, let's give it a try. All right, so we're running the 43.5, give 43.5, whatever. Pretty stable. No leaks. Had a bit of a problem with the relay, so I had to disconnect the speed control relay, this one here, and tap it into this one, but this is the one I originally put it on. So we're not running a speed control anymore. It's regulated by a regulator. But everything's working. We're only detecting 1% ethanol, which shouldn't be any, but whatever. And yeah, everything's working. Everything's good so far. So now we've got to pull some fuel out of the VE, I think, because it's running at 11.8 instead of 13. So it's going to need a fair bit of fuel pulled out, because it doesn't need to run at 75% VE anymore. It can run at about 50, because there's a lot less fuel going in at idle. Going to make it a lot easier to tune as well. So I'm going to go have a play with this, pull some VE out. But yeah, it's happy, it's stable as shit at the moment. And yeah, then I might go for a drive, but it is raining outside, so it's gonna be raining for the next week apparently. So anyway, so get some tuning done and make sure this is all good, and then probably get some fuel, because fuel light is pretty much on and empty, because there was only about a quarter of a tank left when I started this. So go do that and we'll come back. Alrighty guys, we are finally, well, I think I'm finally done anyway. We'll see. So I had to pull the loom apart to find a ground sensor loop, because I kept getting a DTC on Heltec saying that essentially I was grounding the sensor ground to engine ground, and I couldn't find where the hell it is. So this is what I was getting. If you can see that. Yeah, not really. Anyway, it's P1A15, ground loop detected. So turned out I had I didn't exactly have a ground loop, so I pulled everything out, the entire loom, all the way from here, the whole way across, traced back all the grounds, made sure that they were not looped anywhere, and they fucking weren't. Turns out, on the sump, your oil level sensor actually grounds itself to the, so this is because it's a fully metal or alloy case, it is grounded right there, and it's grounded onto the alloy, which is then bolted to the metal sump, which is then grounded. So because I gave it a ground and a signal, which is what you're supposed to do because that's what it does on the stock one, it provided a loop through here, going back through the engine ground and going, through the whole harness. So I've just taken off the ground out of that plug, and now we're good. So keep that in mind if you're going to run a Heltec in an RX-8 or probably any rotary that has one of these. Don't run a signal ground to it because it creates a loop. Lesson learned. It took me like 4 hours to find it, and now I've pretty much had to cut up all of the fucking shrink sleeve that I had up here to pretty much truck everything. So not happy about that, but is what it is. When the engine comes out, I will pretty much just put a new heat shrink on. It's just, shit happens. Whatever. Had to be done. So we're all done. Got to check it for leaks. Again, it's been in the garage all night and I don't smell fuel, which is good, but I haven't driven the car yet. So we're going to go for a drive, see if there's any leaks, only around the block a couple of times. Come back, park it up, make sure that every fitting is dry, and there's nothing leaking anywhere because fuel systems, I don't like leaks at all. And if that's all good, then we'll start tuning it. So, we'll see you soon. All right, so she's back running again. Seems to be a bit smoother now that I don't have a sensor around. Whatever. I did just notice a little bit of steam coming up over here. I think that coolant pipe's still leaking down there, and I haven't taken the turbo off yet. So I might have to do that soon. But it's not enough that I'm worried because, well, the reservoir is still pretty full. So who fucking knows? It's only a drip every now and then. But she's idling smoothly. Alright, so it's Friday now. So I went for a drive yesterday. Finally got it all running. Everything was going okay. But the surge tank was running out of fuel. So because the return line is coming from the fuel pressure regulator to the tank for the Venturi, the surge tank ran out of fuel and I dropped fuel pressure. So I've had to go grab another fuel pump today for the in-tank to match the that was random, I just fell over. To match what's in the surge tank. So that's a 360 litre an hour pump, I think it is, and the one in the tank is only 200 or 255 litres. So it was just sucking it dry. So I've gone and picked up one of these. Whatever that is. Yeah, anyway. So I think they're 360 litres an hour. Something like that. So just going to chuck that in. And I also picked up a jerry can of E85. So we're going to chuck that in soon as well, because I don't want to leave it in that plastic container for too long. So I'm going to take this pump out, put the other one in, fill up the surge tank, make sure it's all good. I just turn both pumps on and see if it's going to cycle correctly. Because ideally we want the surge tank to remain full at all times and overflow to the primary fuel tank. But it's not. Little Raceworks 200 pump can't keep up. So we get stuck into that now and get that swapped over. Alright, so we got the new fuel pump in. And you can see any difference, but it's in, it's working, surge tank's full. So what I've done here, you'll see the damn screen. Under fuel pump, I've changed primary pump to duty cycle, and set a duty cycle for that pump. So the surge tank will pretty much be running at about 45-50% duty cycle when the car's not running or idling. And then as you take off, it should go to about 60% duty cycle. And then as the manifold pressure goes closer to atmospheric pressure, so minus 2.9 psi versus minus 11, it increases to 60 to 70 psi percent duty cycle. And then wide open throttle from 3000 RPM, it goes to 100%. So what that means is because I now have a 360 litre an hour pump in both the tank and the surge tank, if they both run 100% all the time, they're both going to counteract each other. So I slowed the surge tank down because it doesn't need to be that fucking high all the time. Like, if I was to not restrict the flow, it'd just be pumping fuel. Like 360 litres an hour is a lot of fuel. So slow that down so that the surge tank can fill up, and then as I put my foot down, it goes to 100% and uses the fuel in the surge tank, which will keep it full. Or if the tank happens to suck in air or whatever, that the surge tank's not running 100% all the time, so it can fill back up again. So as long as I bring the revs back down below 3000 RPM, that duty cycle will decrease, or go into vacuum, then the duty cycle will decrease, which will allow that surge tank to fill back up again. But I'm going to go for a drive now and see if it's working again, because almost blew it up last night because it ran out of fuel pressure halfway through a pull. Didn't even notice it. Then we're going to chuck the E85 in and see what happens then. So we'll go to the car and go for a drive. Alright, so we've got the log open from a drive that I just did, and we're just having a look at what's going on with everything. So obviously fuel pressure is now rising rate or map reference, so it should decrease at idle and then increase to atmospheric pressure, which is 43.5 psi of fuel pressure, and as you go into boost, it increases 1 psi fuel pressure per 1 psi boost. So I've got fuel manifold pressure there, so we went to 8.3 psi a couple of times. I hate it when it does that. So let's just look at that there. So you can see fuel pressure expected versus fuel pressure there. So it's not perfectly smooth. There's going to be a little bit of an up and down spike, but that's pretty fucking good. That's pretty much spot on to what we're looking for. AFRs look bloody awesome. A little bit of a rich spot there, so I won't lean rich, and that's where I put my foot down. So I put my foot down a little bit just to make sure that it was running at the right AFR before I planted my foot down a little bit more. And yeah, it looks good. Everything's fucking beautiful there. It's nearly right on target. And fuel pressure is increasing the way that it should, so that's fucking awesome. Do need to increase the duty cycle a little bit because I was asking for 9 psi and I got 8. I think it was 9 anyway. Mine's that. Boost control, I was asking for 9, I got 8.3. So increase the duty cycle a little bit to get closer to the target, and then that's pretty much it. So we're going to throw some E85 in now, and then do a run and see what that looks like. So this will be interesting, and then see if we can increase the boost to 12 psi or 13 or something, and see if we can make it home. Alrighty, so jerry can of E85 is in, as well as some Caster 927. So we're just gonna cycle the pumps a few times, make sure that the flex fuel sensor is actually reading the ethanol content. I put 20 litres of 98 in yesterday, and we've got 20 litres of E85 in. So technically it should be 50-50, but there might have been a little bit left over because the fuel light was on, so there might be 10 litres or so left in there, so it might be 30, 20, we'll see. So just going to cycle a few times and see if the ethanol content comes up on the flex sensor, and then give it a start and see if she runs alright. Alright, so it looks like we've got about 40% roughly, 42, 43, 44% ethanol. So that'll be good for what we're trying to test right now anyway. So I wanted to be E40. Jesus, the camera went dark. I wanted to be E40 fuels, pretty much what I'm going to run, E35, E40. So yeah, we're gonna start it up, give it a test, see how it idles, see how the mixtures look. I'm pretty sure Heltec does everything for you when it comes to flex fuel anyway. I just haven't added any timing at all. I've just left all the modifiers alone. So we'll give it a test and see what happens. So excited to see what happens. Alright, so she's running. You can't really see the screen. 53% ethanol, idling beautifully, like better than 98, probably because it's running richer. So yeah, we'll take it for a spin around the block and see how it handles, if it likes it or not, and we'll go from there really. Tell you what burns the throat, fucking hell. So yeah, we'll go to the car and see what's going on.
10 psi, 10.4. Jeez. Yeah, lean. Hit 11 psi. 11.2 psi. Fuel. Leak.
It's not ethanol. It's 98, so it might be a little bit still sitting on the tank from when I had it open.
Oh, right, yeah.
Alright, so just got back from that drive. Thought I'd just make sure that the surge tank is all good. So I popped one of the return bungs off, and it is full, like right to the top. So that means the surge tank is staying full, which is what we needed to do. So that is definitely a relief, because I was worried that was emptying again. So we'll go quickly look over the log, and then I'll pretty much leave it there really, because that's that's virtually done. And then we can go on to increasing the boost and stuff, but that'll be in another video, because this one's going to be long enough as it is. So let's move over to the computer and have a look. So we'll have a look here. Actually, maybe it's better off here. So we can go through here. So I've been using this, the red and the target is the green one, and the actual is the red one. So in this particular instance right here, it went super rich, like down to 7.9. And that was a tip in, probably my mistake for just stabbing the throttle. So yeah, I'm going to ignore that for the moment. Boost definitely spiked too hard, so I've had to pull a little bit of duty cycle out of there to bring that down. But you know, right here for instance, 6,000 RPM, what are we at? 8.3 psi, so kind of interpolating between the two. We've got 10.7 and we're asking for 11.5. So I need to pull a little bit of fuel out of here. And then back down to this log here. Yeah, so that's as high as I went there, so 10.6, 10.1, and that's when I let off the accelerator, so it went rich. And then went back on. Now, here we have 10.6 again, so rich, 10.4, and then it leans out to pretty much target, and then went a little bit lean. So 11.9 instead of 11.5. And then starts to richen out a little bit. and then we stay a little bit richer than the target. So I could probably pull maybe 1% out of there to bring it down. And then this is where I let my foot off the accelerator, so yeah, it went rich. So yeah, instead of changing anything out of this, I'm going to do another couple of logs, but I'm going to do longer now that I've seen this, because I didn't want to just put my foot down and just go crazy. Yeah, so I want to have a look and see what it's going to be like under a pull from say 3000 RPM through to 6000 or 7000, and actually look at that log rather than stabbing the throttle and checking things. So not the greatest log in the world to look at. But yeah, fuel pressure and everything stayed good. I might even need to increase it just a tiny bit, because I'm supposed to be getting, like 50, 52 psi, and I'm only getting 40 something, 49. I did for a second there, it spiked and then dropped down a little bit. So yeah, I might just need to increase the base fuel pressure on the fuel pressure reg just a tiny bit. But I mean, it's not causing a problem apart from it's running a little bit rich. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. So yeah, right there, 49 psi. So it drops a little bit because the boost pressure drops. And yeah, we got a little bit rich and then it goes off throttle. So yeah, looking really good, and it pulls fucking hard. It's actually crazy how much difference a pitch makes. Just have a look at this little one. Yeah, so right there we got 10 psi exactly, and we got 10.9 AFR instead of 11.4, so a little bit rich. But that was just a quick stab. And the next one, so build up. It climbs boost so quickly. So we got 10.1 and we're asking 11.4 there, and that's because of how quickly it builds up pressure. It's just insane. But then it goes straight to the target, and then I let off anyway. So yeah, not a good idea to do little tiny pulls like that. So yeah, so we'll leave that as it is. I'll go for a bit more of a drive, longer pulls, probably on the highway, to get some decent logs to be able to fine tune this. But at least it's running a little bit richer, so it's not leaning out, and everything looks pretty damn good. It's just now fine tuning everything. But yeah, the other thing I want to do is fix the intake air temperature, because you can see right there, 50 degrees intake air temperature there, and yeah, it shouldn't be that high. So yeah, I've got to move the pod filter away because it climbs too quickly. It does go down, but yeah, if you let it sit stationary for too long, it does climb pretty quickly. Alrighty, so as you can see, it's all going well. I still need to mount the pressure regulator because it's just sitting there at the moment. So yeah, I'll mount that to the firewall eventually, probably the next couple of days when I get some time. Everything else is good. But the surge tank is remaining full. The pumps are working well. Fuel pressure's good. Everything's looking good. A little bit rich, but yeah, it's fine. So we'll leave it there. Do some more tuning. We did more boost control, a bit more ignition tuning in the next video. But I have finally sent my rotors away to Andrew John down in Sydney. So I should get them back in a couple of weeks so I can start building that new engine so it can go into there, which will be ported with RX-7 apex seals and slotted RX-8 corner seals, so we can start running a bit more power. And at that point, I'm going to put a better clutch in. So talking to Direct Clutch down in Geebung, I think it's Direct Clutch or Clutch Direct. There's two of them. One is over in South Australia and one's in Geebung. It's one in Geebung. They got an awesome FD RX-7. It's got a 20B in it. So I'm talking to them at the moment about getting the clutch made up to be able to handle at least 500 horsepower. So I'm hoping that once the new engine is in, and because it's ported, it's got much bigger ports, exhaust ports, intake ports, everything, that I should be closer to the 400 horsepower mark now at 14 psi on flex fuel. But right now I can't go any higher than I am because the clutch can't hold up. So I've gone to 12 psi on this tune on E40. And it was fine, but it started to slip again. In cold weather, it definitely can't handle it. Like even at 10 psi, it was slipping, as you saw from the last video. So Anyway, we'll leave it there. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.